Everyone here today has what it takes to be a star, a champion, to be a Tiger Woods, a Roger Federer, Peyton Manning, Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, Simone Biles, or even Serena Williams. Or maybe Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, or Sarah Blakely. What could you have in common with these superstars? Each built a work ethic second to none, to be the very best in every aspect of their game. Each embraced and fell in love with the preparation it takes to perform at their highest level. Hello, I'm Tom McManimon, veteran advertising and branding expert, entrepreneur, author, and speaker. Even in an age of constant tech advances and innovative tools like AI, every one of these leaders would still tell you there will never be a replacement for hard work. I'd like to introduce you to a talk that I feel passionately about and hope that you find helpful on your path to greatness. Work ethic and its influence on success.
My goal here today is to inspire each and every one of you to fail. To fail. Let me explain what I mean by that, okay? A Serbian athlete, a giant of a man, he stands about 7 feet tall, wider shoulders than mine. He plays center for the Denver Nuggets in the NBA. His name is Nikola Jokic. He was the most valuable player in the NBA 2 years in a row, and he finished second last season, only to Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. A huge man, huge talent in the NBA. A couple of months ago, they won the NBA championship. The moment that they won that game, all his players, all his teammates were jumping all over each other. The confetti is falling. They're throwing water on each other. And what does he do? The very moment, instead of partaking in that celebration, he goes and shakes the hands of Eric Spoelstra, who's the head coach of the Miami Heat, and every player on that team. And the camera followed him. Then he gets snagged by a CBS reporter, and she asks him, "How does it feel to be world champion, Nicole? How does it feel to be champion?" And in his deadpan, very simple reply, he says, "I did the work. Now I get to go home." The next thing that he says, you know, to be successful, you first have to be bad. And then he says, but then you got to do the work to get good. And we all know good just gets you in the game. Then you have to fail. And it's when you fail that you look in the mirror and you realize you got work to do. And this is where it all begins. Interweaved amidst all of that bad, good, and failure are two things. A dose of humility, okay, and a lot of work. A lot of work. We've seen in sports a lot of teams that get to the big game, but they don't win the big game. They have to look at their shortcomings and know how to perform better in the crunch. Another sports analogy, Michael Jordan, MJ, the greatest basketball player that ever played the game. Some might argue that, but he's the greatest player that ever won the game. Olympic champion, multiple times MVP of the tournament itself. He's won everything that there is to win, and he's performed at an incredible level. When he first came out of North Carolina University, everyone knew that he was going to be a star player to some level. Some of the players in the NBA that were only in there 2 or 3 years, they desperately wanted to guard him. Who would say they want to guard Michael Jordan? Right? Isaiah Thomas. He wanted to guard Michael Jordan because he knew that he had weaknesses. He couldn't go to his left. What they didn't know is that Michael Jordan had such a hunger to win and to be the best. He knew his own shortcomings, and he worked on it, and he worked on it, and he worked on it. And in the very first season, he was an all-star. And he figured out how to fly because Michael Jordan flew. And he began doing things that no one else could do. But he did all of these things on television in front of everyone, right? And the media took off with it. And that's what we see. We're so used to seeing things on television. Wouldn't it be incredible if we saw these world-class athletes in practice? We might learn more from them by watching these hungry players in practice. Another athlete, Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul. He spent his entire career with the Los Angeles Lakers. He came in and he was Michael Jordan's protege, you might say. Even though they competed against each other, Michael was older, Kobe was a young high school dude. And he wanted to sponge off of Jordan and learn everything that he could. This guy had a work ethic like you cannot believe, more than anyone that's ever played the game. He was so serious about fine-tuning every little detail that he practiced 4 times a day. He started at 4 a.m. and had 4 two-hour practice sessions on his own. And he would run through every possible scenario and shoot from every niche of a basketball court. And he would imagine playing the team that they're playing that night and know their strengths and weaknesses. And he shot the ball 1,000 times. He did everything he could possibly be asked to do in a game in practice. So that when the lights were on and the televisions were on, he made it look easy. But in anyone's job, in anyone's career, what you do is not easy. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. Another example, Stephen Curry. He presently plays in the NBA for the Golden State Warriors. He too is an MVP multiple times. He too is an MVP in the big game itself. And he too is a champion. It's already said, and he's still a player, that he's the greatest pure shooter that ever played the game. That's saying a lot, that's ever played the game. This guy shoots from downtown, really downtown. I saw him shoot and score 10 shots in a row from half court. And the only reason he didn't get 11 is because he moved to another place on the court. That's all. Because his work ethic is to imagine every possible scenario that he could be facing. The last words that Nikola Jokic said in his interview in that game, the end of his interview, he said, "My team, we did the work, and it was our turn." It was our turn. My team, we did the work, it was our turn. So when is it your turn? In your walk of life, in your job, in your career, when is it your turn? Ask yourself, look in the mirror, have I done the work? Have I worked to improve myself, to get that opportunity, to get that raise, to get that promotion, to play at a higher level? It depends. How bad do you want to be successful? And how do you define for yourself success? And what is this thing called work ethic? How do you define it? It really breaks down into what I call 4 pillars. The first of which is you have to have vision and a plan. You have to visualize where you want to go. That's today, it's by Friday, it's at the end of the month, it's the first quarter. It can be very, very small and just, what do I need to get accomplished today? And how am I going to do it? Have a vision and a plan. Build positive habits. Positive habits. Especially in today's culture about working remotely, it's so easy to get lazy. It's easy to have negative habits infiltrate your day. Build positive habits in the way that you do things. 22 years ago, I went off from a big agency and started my own agency. And I went from 55 creative people reporting to me every day to my dog reporting to me. And I made a promise to myself every single day, get up, dress up, show up. And it didn't mean I was very dressed up all the time. COVID, I had flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt. But get up, dress up, show up. And the second was the habits. The third is find your passion. You may not all be working in a career that you would say is your passion, but surely in what you're asked to do today, in the tasks that you have before you, you can be passionate about how you're going to approach that in a real positive manner. So find your passion in your career or even in what you're doing today. And the last of which is to develop grit. Every one of these athletes built such a stronghold around their talents that they were prepared to perform in the crunch. There's 2 minutes left in the game. Who's going to get the ball? Okay? Same analogy in business. You need to get a proposal out on Friday. You have a sales meeting and you got to get the numbers right. There is something that you have to meet, an expectation. Do you have the grit to be the one that's going to do it? Are you the one that is either responsible, or are you the one that's going to step up and say, I got this? Building grit. So it's a vision and a plan, positive habits, find your passion, and build a sense of grit. Okay? So now where do you find the attributes to build or enhance your work ethic that you already have? To improve that and get to the next level. Well, think about the people that have been major influencers in your life. And those who lead by example. Sometimes it's your father or your mother. It's your wife or your spouse. It's a coach. It's a colleague. It's your boss. Any number of people who have wisdom to impart to you. They either have in the past, or they're waiting to be helpful if you reach out. Okay? Because I believe, just like these athletes, every one of us, if you concentrate on those 4 pillars to build your level of work ethic, it won't be work anymore. There's so many people today that don't want to work. And they're free to tell you that. I don't want to work. Or I want it easy, right? Because they think of it as work. It's too much stress, right? If you build your work ethic and those 4 pillars, it will not be work. Just like these athletes, they do that work because it is their joy, their passion to build the grit that helps them perform under the lights. Okay? So, another place, a couple of examples where I got those great examples for me. Well, one, I grew up in a huge family of 9 children and a really great set of parents who set great examples, okay? We had a basketball court in our backyard, and I swear the entire township played in our backyard. I lived there and I couldn't get in the games. Okay? They ate everything in our refrigerator and they used our bathroom like you can't believe, right? But that was a competitive environment. Being one of 9 kids, the damn dinner table was a competitive environment. You got what you got the first time, okay? We were taught that if there was anything that you wanted to do, you wanted to achieve, a place you wanted to go, you had to earn it. It wasn't just given there because you said, I want this. You had to earn it. You had to outwork the competition. And outworking the competition isn't always physical. It is often, like in these sports analogies, it can be mental. It could be how you outsmart the competition. But the idea is to be prepared to do the work, to win, to get that opportunity, right? I got some really great work ethic examples in high school. I played football and basketball in high school at nearby Notre Dame High School. And our football team, when I was there, was awful. We were absolutely dreadfully awful. We were 0-19. We did not win a game for more than 2 years. And it wasn't even for a lack of talent. We didn't have a sense of team. And our coach was fighting cancer, and he would show up late for practice, and it was more of a picnic. So come game day, we were not prepared. We did not fall in love with the preparation. We got a new coach from the Philadelphia Catholic League, and he worked our tails off. We worked our tails off to improve each of us as an individual, and then each of us as a team. So we went from 0-19 to winning the league and playing for the state championship in one season. I learned more life lessons from that coach and that experience and my fellow players along both sides of me. I was a center, so I got hit in the head 1,000,000 times, which explains why I'm in the creative field. Okay? Another great example, and please think about this and how it relates to your career as well. I worked for an advertising agency. It was my 3rd agency in nearby Princeton. And when I took over the role as a partner and executive creative director, we billed about $70 million a year in annual billings. In the next 4 years, we grew that to $180 million in billings. Now, it didn't happen overnight, but in that period, we were able to pitch clients that we never dreamed of pitching before. We were able to attract talent that never came to this little agency in Princeton. And in that time, we learned a lot together, and while we don't work together anymore, this core group of people, we're still best friends. And we learned a lot of life lessons while we grew the agency. We doubled the billings in 4 years. The agency was sold. We all split up, just like gyms closed during COVID, we all split up, and I started my own ad agency 22 plus years ago. I was a reluctant entrepreneur at the time, but I knew that I had the core characteristics to lead. I was a leader in a big agency that we grew. These elements of work ethic really served me well from examples from coaches, from colleagues who I respected, from parents who I looked up to grow my agency, and has served me really well to grow from $500 in my account to $1 million ad agency. And I love what I do. That's my passion. There are days that are difficult, and there are clients that are difficult. Right? But it really is about being prepared to do the work. And like I said earlier, we're such an entertainment-oriented country that we'll pay the big bucks to go to the big game and have fun. But couldn't we learn more by watching these hungry athletes, these hungry teams, practicing? What are they working on to become the very best? The secret sauce is what's behind the scenes, behind these doors, of how you have one of the finest customer service reputations in the land for NJM, right? There's a lot of work and a lot of really talented people where that happens. So how does work ethic affect our current remote culture? We're in such an evolving stage right now. Almost every day, there's a new technology, a new app, new talent coming on board that see things completely in a different way. You can't say you're wrong and you're going to have a rude awakening and it just can't be done that way, right? And yet the companies are having such a difficult time filling butts and seats, bringing people back. Right? So we're in an evolving time right now, and communication is very, very key. People that have a strong work ethic, right now the number one soft skill that HR managers are looking for when they're hiring people is a sense of their work ethic. You got to have the tools, you got to have the resume and the bullet points to fulfill the job, but what they're looking for when they speak with you, what they're listening for between the lines, is the things that you care about. Are you a team player? Will you work extra hours when we need you? Are you a good listener? Are you proactive? These and more are attributes of people with a strong work ethic. They're very, very far away from I'm all about me. And yet we have this growing segment, and I hope that it doesn't continue to grow, of young talent who don't really want to work. And they would like to start their Mondays, sort of ease into their Monday. And they'd like to have their Fridays off all the time, not just in the summer. And they'd like to show you their magic at the end of the week that they did in the middle of the week. Okay? They want all the things. And they want opportunity to come their way. And they feel that they deserve it because, after all, I have a college education, right? There's a risk in having a sense of entitlement because they don't see the value of work. We're in this space right now where technology is enabling so much to happen. Everybody's communicating via computer. I have clients across the country that I never see, except in a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting. I'd love to see them more, but it's not necessary. So let's embrace the technologies and communicate better, because you have a lot of employees who are working remote They have an incredible work ethic. They are disciplined, and they can contribute immensely to your business and productivity. But be keenly aware of those where they're stumbling, because the quality of their work ethic says everything about what you can trust that they're going to deliver. It's all about knowing what's going to be the deliverable. I want to remind you to think about the key influencers in your life that you already had and those that you want to connect with, especially in these business functions. Who has influence that can be helpful to you? Who's passed on a great example? And when you do that and you build a strong work ethic, you will not only feel the success, you will now be the one setting the example. You suddenly go from everyone, you're looking up to everyone, to now you're setting the example. And that's where leaders come from, when you are setting the example. Okay? Remember the 4 pillars. First one is to have a vision and a plan. And if you can't think real big, just think about today. But have a vision and a plan. Second, build positive work habits. Third, find your passion in everything that you do. Once you do that, it's not difficult. You don't think of it as work anymore. You're getting the opportunity to practice something you're passionate about and build grit so that you're the one who can come through in the pinch, in the deliverable, to deliver the expectations. And lastly, don't be upset with the results that you didn't get because of the work you didn't do. Don't be upset with the results you didn't get, the things you wanted, the promotion, the next opportunity. Don't be upset at somebody else or even at yourself because you weren't willing to do the work to get there. So thank you. I hope it made a difference.